Hello, constant listeners, constant readers. Welcome back to another episode of Forever Young Adult Book Talks, lovers of YA Lit. We, your fearless hosts, are going to take you on a journey through many genres and many types of books that we loved, kind of loved, and didn't love, like we do every other week. So, my name is Katie. I'm going to get this party rolling tonight with a book that I read in celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month last month, called Tamamo the Fox Maiden and Other Asian Stories. Sorry, I'm bad at reading backwards. And Other Asian Stories, a cautionary fables and fairy tales book. It's a graphic novel chock full of fables, moral stories, fairy tales from all kinds of Asian countries, which I thought was really cool. There's China, Japan, Indonesia, Vietnam, India. So then there's the author list at the beginning is like 3 pages long. So super collective group effort of telling these stories, celebrating myths and legends from all sorts of Asian and Asian identifying peoples and countries. Easy read, 200 pages. If you have a middle grade kiddo who loves graphic novels, or you have a middle grade kiddo who's super interested in mythology, this would be a great place to start it. I gave it about a 3.5 on Goodreads, and I gave it that because the stories, even in themselves, kind of bounce around and they're like missing pieces of a myth, which is kind of how myths go, right? Back way back, they were all it's oral history, right? So pieces got missing from storyteller to storyteller. So I kind of wonder if that's maybe what happened, but I'm also not the target audience for this. I picked it up because the cover's cool, and I love seeing Asian heritage and Asian identifying authors on bookshelves these days. So, 3.5, definitely a middle grade book. I would say probably 9th graders would love this book too. Tamamo and the Fox Maiden. So that's my contribution for this evening. My friend Heather, it's your turn next. Dear Heather, you're muted.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I know. I was trying to figure out how to share my screen. I may or may not pull it off tonight. It's just the way it is. So let me see if I can, because I only have one screen right now. So window. So the book that I read is, I'm not going to share it. It's called Pride and Predetermination. It is by Tears of Price, and it was the book club book that our book club is reading together this month. Oh, Katie has it. Hold it up. I see it. Oh, see, Pride and Predetermination. So I'll just say, in full disclosure, I'm a total, complete Pride and Prejudice fan, and so I was worried that I wouldn't like it, but I really liked it. This basically takes the same character profiles of the characters in Pride and Prejudice, and they have the same attributes, but the timeline is about the same, except for it's a little kind of probably would be challenged because they have different jobs. Basically, Darcy is not just some rich landowner. He's works in a law firm, and also the main character, her dad is Lizzie's dad is a lawyer also, and Lizzie wants to work for him someday, although women don't do that kind of work. So you still have the same kind of love story and tension between Darcy and Lizzie, except for it's also a mystery. And I gotta say, when I got done, I'm like, is my favorite book Pride and Prejudice really just a love story? Like, because this book actually has like another real plot. It's not just about like 2 people falling in love. It's like a mystery. So I was like, hats off to Tirza for this one, because I think it's a great retelling. It stays true to the characters, but it levels up. It adds a little bit more to the story, and I really liked it. So I recommend for Pride and Prejudice fans, and I'm not going to do much more because it's a spoiler alert for the book club. Although if they don't read it, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Because, not everybody loves Pride and Prejudice as much as I do. So now I'm going to turn it over to my friend Steve.
Hey guys, happy Pride, happy summer kickoff. Reading books. Neverworld's Wake was the book I read. It's a pretty quick read. I mean, it's like a 300+ page book, but it reads pretty quick because it kind of pulls you in. You want to just keep reading because you want to find out. It's basically a mystery. And Beatrice Hartley has just finished her first year of college, and she's going home for the summer. And her 4 best friend, they were glue in high school, but they all went off to different colleges and stuff. They've been separated for a year, their first year of college, but they kind of reunite in the summer. The thing is, her boyfriend died tragically their senior year, and she's kind of been estranged from her friends. But when she comes home for the summer, she reunites with their friends, and they have kind of a wild night of drinking and stuff, and then they get into a car accident, and they wake up in this old estate mansion place, but they find out that they're kind of in between. It's called the Neverworld, and really what it is, it's basically purgatory / time loop, because there's this keeper, and I'm not spoiling anything, I'm really just giving you the premise, trust me. There's this keeper, and they have to relive the same day over and over until they vote, and they all have to have a unanimous vote that only one of them can survive. So it turns into, I'll admit, I was a little reluctant when I started reading, because I'm getting a little tired of the stuck in a loop, relive the same day trope thing that's been remade into every kind of genre now of a Netflix movie or something like that. But this, yes, it was that, but it really turns out to be more of a purgatory kind of a thing. And it's more of, this book is really just a good mystery. And, I read it in about a day's time. It kind of pulled me in, and I was reluctant to not want to like it because of that trope of the loop. But it was such a well-written mystery, and it had enough it unraveled and had enough and made me guess on a couple things where, this is good. It's 4 out of 5. And I do want to make one kind of plug for the author, Marisha Pessl, I think is how you say her name. This is her first young adult novel. She's written 1 or 2 novels for adults. And that's why I picked this up, because she wrote this book called Night Film, which was an amazing kind of horror mystery for adults. So she's definitely a skilled writer. So if for young adult mystery, you're going to eat this up. And that's all I got, really. I'm going to give it off to Adrienne.
Thank you. I have 2 today. Let me grab my slide. The first one is called These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. It's set in Salem, Massachusetts. In present day, there are still witches, but they're in hiding. They have coven meetings and everything like that. There are 3 types of witches: elemental, blood witch, and I don't remember. Her whole coven is elemental, so they can control fire and water and air and things like that. So Hannah is the main character, and she's 17 years old. She works in something similar to this picture I found. So she works in a very touristy kind of witch shop that people come in when they go to Salem to visit the witches. And one night she's at a party with all her other high school friends, and somebody there's a disturbance in the woods, and so there's 2 other witches there with her. They're all, of course, in hiding. Nobody knows they're witches except each other. But they discover that there is now a witch hunter in Salem. So the whole rest of the novel, it's a quick read, was really good. It's kind of them trying to find out who the witch hunter is and to save their families. It's funny, but it's still suspenseful. It's kind of like a cross between a comedy and a mystery. Veronica, who's her ex-girlfriend turned enemy, she is also kind of helping her find who the witch hunter is. And then she also has a best friend who is a normal girl who's not aware that Hannah is a witch. So that kind of comes into play too. It was really cute, really good. I actually didn't figure it out until the end, which is surprising. I do think it's going to be a series. it kind of ended in the way that it's going to be a series. I think actually the second book might be out already. But there's also Benton, which he is a boy who has a crush on Hannah. And I think the author dealt with that in a really kind of just calm, good way. He at first says, oh, well, maybe if you date me, then you won't be gay anymore. And she's like, no, I'm gay. So it's like, and they end up becoming friends, and well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. So that's a mystery with him too. But she dealt with that in kind of I think a really important way that gave credence to Hannah and how she felt. And there's also a new girl who has secrets of her own named Morgan. She's also a ballerina like Gemma is. And she kind of is crushing on Hannah, who's crushing on her back. And meanwhile, Veronica's kind of like the bad girl who wants Hannah back. And so, but it was really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a super quick read. My second one is called Gideon the Ninth. Probably a cross between YA and new adult. It is about basically lesbian necromancers in space. That was the blurb on the front, which of course I'm like, I have to read this book because it sounds really interesting. It was one of those books that had a lot of information dump in the beginning. And sometimes that's hard to get through. There are 9 houses in this book. They all have their own planets. And then the emperor calls one, like basically the prince or princess of each planet to come to his planet. And they kind of go through this training / unknown trials that either is going to make them immortal or kill them. So, and each prince or princess has a cavalier, which is basically their person who goes to protect them, kind of keeps things away from them while they're performing. They're all necromancers in one way or another. So Gideon, Nav, is, when the book opens, she is trying to escape her planet. She's an indentured servant of the 9th house, which is kind of like the worst of the houses. It's kind of pushed to the side, and it's really going downhill. So in order to save the planet, Harrowhawk, who is the heir to the 9th house and who's always been Gideon's childhood enemy, they were the only 2 kids that grew up on this planet together. You kind of find out what happened to all the other kids. They all died at once. They had a big kind of flu that ran through the royal, I don't know what you would call it, nurseries. And so everybody died except Gideon and Harrowhawk. So Harrowhawk does have a cavalier already, but he is kind of a mama's boy. And the mom says, no, I don't want him to go. So she knows that Gideon's been trying to escape over and over again. So she says, if you go and pretend to be my cavalier in this, emperor's trials and everything like that, when it's over, if we're both not dead, then you can have your freedom. And so kind of the rest of the book is them going through it kind of reminded me, there's an Agatha Christie book, and I don't remember which one it is, where all the characters, they die off one at a time, and kind of the 7 other planets, the 7 other sets of heirs and their cavaliers are kind of being picked off one at a time, and you don't know who is doing it. So there's a mystery there. I just kept having to like flip back to the front to be like, okay, now whose house is this and what are they doing? So I think the first half of the book was kind of confusing because there was just so much information dumped. The second half of the book, I give a 6 out of 5 if I could. Once you got to that point, it was just great and you could speed through it. But the first half just had a lot of information dumping. And it is going to be a trilogy. The second one's not out yet. I don't believe that it is out yet. But so I did like it. Again, it's a very long book, and you kind of had to, go move your way through the first half to get to the meat of the second half, which was difficult. So I am going to turn it over to Heather.
Wow. God bless someone who takes her summer vacation to work through a really hard front part of a book to finish it. So props to my friend Adrian for reading about dead people or witches or whatever, necromancers. Sounds so gross, I think. But I'm going to tell you guys, I appreciate coming to book club every week, and I've been a slacker every month. I don't even know what our schedule is anymore until I get my calendar reminder and then a text from Miss Katie telling me, where are you? Because I think summer is that time, whether you're on vacation or not, where you should stop and step outside, like physically, maybe metaphorically, maybe look for a new book to explore, look for a new hobby, but just to kind of take a big breath and like be in the moment to see where you are and try new things. I know when I get most hectic, I'll hop in my headphones and I listen to an audiobook, and not like lesbian necromancers. I don't even understand this. So showing all my cards, I don't even get it. But I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and I just put some things in my queue for the public library, and they come and I have to accept them or defer for 7 days. And I put things in there that are way outside my comfort zone or way different kinds of books and stick with it. So I think there's always a space to keep reading, keep exploring, keep learning, and just kind of like take one day at a time and enjoy something new. So shout out to all the summer themes we had going on. Gay Pride Month, right? We've got new authors. Try to shout out new authors and try to find new cultures, try to brave through hard books. That's what summer's for. And I remember asking my kids every summer when they were little, what do you want to learn this summer? Because that's a time where you can step back and say, let's do something different. What do you want to learn? So think about that with your books choices over the summer. What do you want to learn? And if you need to be inspired or you're in a rut, just find something new. That's it for me.
All right, friends, thank you so much for tuning in again. We will see you for our June 15th issue with some new tasty titles along the way. So until then, have a good summer, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.